we are back with you live with another Johnny Torch live broadcast number 223. We also bring you Torch News Roundup number 266. Welcome to another hot and brutally hot and humid day here as we are seated in stately Torch Tower high above the bustling metropolis below. It's a hot one, and it doesn't seem to be going to be any different anytime soon. There's no relief in sight, in other words. But we have a stellar program for you today. This is going to be a big one. This was going to be the biggest show, really big show that we've had planned for a long time because we've got a lot of Bullets Bourbon news to cover. Very excited about that. We've got some interesting things happening. I've got to first off say, there's a problem with the thumbnail. For some reason, it doesn't seem to be showing up on my screen. And I'm wondering if, I don't know, is YouTube going to be kind of sensitive about me mocking the Batgirl movie being completely scrapped and canceled? Because that's what I'm going to do tonight. And putting that in the thumbnail, they seem to resent it, and I don't see it showing up on the screen. It looks like the cover of Family Jewels. So I don't know. I don't know if they object to that, but we might have to go back and put a new title card up. But there was no thumbnail to speak of when I first started the show. So if that seems that way to you, let me know, because I don't understand why that happened. I think that's happened to me once before, but I literally just took a picture of the Batgirl actress in the movie, and it doesn't seem to be showing up. And it has the same title on it as the name of this broadcast. So hopefully all things go well. Thank you for joining us, and God love you for being here as always. I appreciate every bit of support I get from the fans, and that's what it's all about, the fans. Now, first off, we had an exciting bit of Bullets Bourbon news this past week when we did our first ever trailer for quote-unquote the death of Bullets Bourbon, the 9th issue, in the final hours. I got a trailer put together for that fairly quickly. The toughest part, really, now I didn't really know, because I used to use in the early days, if you've been with the channel for a long time, and you see some of the early videos for the first, I don't know, maybe 2 years, possibly 3, I used Windows Movie Maker, and it was pretty simple. You just take images, you drag them down, and then you get the audio track you just lay on top of it. And then when Windows took that away, I really struggled with trying to find a way to do scripted videos. But there is a sort of video creator with the most recent version of Windows that I have anyway, that I was able to use pretty successfully. And I managed to, because being a trailer for a comic, it's basically just a few panels of the comic strung together. So I was able to put that together pretty quickly. It wasn't that big of an issue. And the hardest part really is trying to find a piece of music that's going to go with it, because obviously you've got to find royalty-free music. And thankfully, there's a lot of great people out there who volunteer their musical compositions as long as you credit them in the video. So I've tried to do that with this video as well by crediting the composer both in the comments, in the description, and in the video itself. But again, I found this to be a very enjoyable experience, and I'm looking forward to trying to do another one. I think I've got another one in mind that we're going to do for issue 8, Temptation Eyes, because that looks like a fun one to do a trailer to. And I want to do one, of course, that's going to be an all-around trailer for the series itself, for the series proper. That's going to have, sort of an overview of the whole series. But right now I'm kind of concentrating on just doing ones that are for the specific issues. All right, so this is our first trailer ever for Bullets Bourbon Comics, and we are going to debut it here. Of course, it's already up on YouTube, and there's been a couple of people that have seen it, but we're going to debut it here for the first time on the Johnny Torch program, and it will probably be a staple in the coming weeks. So here we are. Enjoy. All right, so there you have it. That's our first ever trailer, and I'm quite pleased with it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Couple of things about it I just wanted to say. First off, it was my choice to like jump right into it and not start, because you could kind of, when you're a creator with things like this, you tend to get a little pretentious and you want to have like this opening title card and this and that. You have to remember it serves as a commercial, really. So the two things I literally had imprinted in my mind was don't get too fancy, don't throw a lot of unnecessary verbiage at the beginning of it. This is a trailer for whatever, and this and that. You could do that at the end. So if people do stick with it to the end, they're gonna see all that verbiage anyway. And the other thing that was important to me was to keep it under a minute because, of course, people have a short attention span. And looking at my analytics, with the commercial only being a minute, it seems like only half the people only get through like half of it. So it's difficult. You have to make sure you hook them and keep it brief so that they will sort of take away the message of the trailer. But again, this one is a very somber trailer. It was fun to make in as much as my boy got massacred. Oh, what am I going to do with my poor guy? But you have to read the issue because obviously, since there's a 10th issue, somehow he gets out of this seemingly impossible situation, but you got to read the issue to find out. So make sure you check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. The link is in the description below. As you can see, the crawl we've got today, this is advertising all the issues we have. We've got 3 trades. Well, the first issue isn't technically a trade, but it's remastered and completely done over with digital inks and lettering. Quality stuff. And of course, the 3 separate issues, 7, 8, and 9, which are encompassing the family jewels. Again, I'm kind of hesitant to put them in a trade now because the reason why I made a trade for the first 3, well, they were remasters. I was really upping the color and the lettering game on those. I don't really think I need to do that with these 3, so I'm probably just going to leave them alone. Uh, Also, I should have got the image up for this as well, but I don't think I've got the image on one of my live streams yet about this. We'll have to make sure we do it next time. But the armbands are still available. We still have some armbands. We made them up for the Plastic City Con, and we still have armbands available with the purchase of all 3 in the Family Jewels arc, in the Death of Bullets Bourbon arc. So again, Wix, my website, is kind of, they're difficult. They don't want to afford me the ability to do like a PayPal button or something unless you upgrade or whatever, and I'm not upgrading. So you'd have to give me an email. Now what you do is you go to my website, go to the contact page, give me your information, and I'll get back to you with an email and give you the PayPal information on how you could pick up the premium package with the Bullets Bourbon commemorative armbands. And I'll get that image up next time so that you could see it, what it looks like. Really well-made stuff. I went to a local guy and really got a nice job put together for this armband. And you don't just get the armband, you get the 3 comics, you get a limited edition print, whatever I have left of them. They, they're subject to availability. There might not be enough to go around, but we'll see. You get a free magnet, you get a free sticker, and you have my unending gratitude and appreciation. Also, you can contact me if you will look at the description below as well for my Twitter page. You can always contact me. I got my DMs wide open. I pretty much ignore them because they're usually filled up with bots and so forth. But if I see any kind of business inquiries, I'm always there for you. So don't worry about that. We got you taken care of here in the world of Bullets Bourbon comics. That about wraps it up for that. But another exciting event about to unfold before your very eyes. We're going to reveal the cover of Bullets Bourbon number 10. Now, this is our 10th anniversary issue. From the looks of it, it makes it look like I do one issue a year because there's 10 issues and we've been doing the publishing for 10 years. But unfortunately, you have to remember, I went back and remastered those first 6 issues. And that took like about 2 years out of my creative time. So we really would be further up on the, in the rollout of the Bullets Bourbon issues, if not for me wanting to update the artwork and lettering in those books. So it averages out to be about an issue a year, but that's not quite the case. And for our 10th anniversary issue, we revealed last week, or the last show, I don't remember if it was last week or not. Our returning villain will be Pencil Neck. Pencil Neck's returning, and we revealed the new villain that is going to be the the sort of new villain, the mad scientist, if you will, that is going to help Pencil Neck. But now we have the cover, so drum roll, please. I should have prepared a drum roll. I don't have a drum roll sound effect here. But the cover for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon number 10. And, of course, my computer takes its sweet time. But I probably shouldn't have so many windows open. All right. And here we are, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, Casebook 10, our big 10th anniversary issue, 10 big years of Bullets Bourbon comics. They said it couldn't be done. They said it wouldn't be done. But here we are. We still remain, to the consternation of SJWs everywhere, completely SJW-free entertainment. We give you as much for your dollar as anybody else that gives you any value for your dollar will give you value for your dollar. All right, so as it says here, this is Pencil Neck being released from Lockmore Prison's wing for the criminally insane. He is sane and powerless. At least he's declared so by the state, as they have let him out with sort of time served. Now that he is sane and powerless, he is rejoining a society that I don't know. Is he quite going to win them over? We'll soon find out in this issue. Bullets Bourbon, of course, knows that things are not always as they seem, and he is going to be keeping an eye on this allegedly former criminal mastermind as The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye number 10, Get the Lead Out, debuts. The story arc is going to be called Man of Our Times. And of course, you see to the left, Iggy Duke is our new character, ace reporter. Iggy Duke is on the scene here, and he's trying to get an interview with Pencil Neck. And of course, Pencil Neck has spared no expense to get the proper security to make sure that he's well protected from the paparazzi who are all there. This is a fun scene in the book. This is one of my favorite scenes. I love this scene. This is again, a lot of the fun scenes come when there is like minimal dialogue between them, and it's like they make eye contact, Pencil Neck and Bullets Bourbon, and they kind of like say they say a flurry of words with just a glance. That's fun. And again, there was a lot of work I had to do on this. Again, I really want to do some some tutorials, some technical, videos that are, like sort of under 10 minutes, 15 minutes to sort of walk you through these processes and how you do them because this is kind of difficult. This is where we like every book I put out, I try to do more and more to make it, a complete experience. I really wanted to have a rain effect. Last time we did snow, and I said there's got to be a way to do rain. It really challenged me for probably the duration of the book. I saved it for the end of the book before I'm literally ready to send it out to learn this, to completely immerse myself in it and learn how to do this rain effect. And it looks beautiful. It looks gorgeous. It just looks wonderful as rain. And then I had to learn a little bit more about how to bend the dialogue there so you can have the police tape there, the do not cross line. I had to bend the dialogue so that it would look like it's fitting that way. And I did that briefly in the last issue. But again, trying to master this stuff is not an easy task. You got to practice. And the practice paid off and it really looks wonderful. And again, very proud of this one. This is going to be the start of another 3-issue arc. There'll be 3 issues in the storyline. How Bullets matches wits once again with probably his most dangerous villain. The villain after this book and the next storyline is going to give him a run for his money. But again, one of my favorites has always been Pencil Neck. He's a great villain. He's a lot of fun. If you don't know, if you haven't read any of the issues, he's really mad as a March hare. And in this one, he has to come to terms with how does he defeat Bullets Bourbon without his erasing abilities, without his eraser working. Because if you read When the Night Comes, that story arc, the 3rd book in the Bullets Bourbon Chronicles, the remaster series, you'll find that's where he lost his powers. So check it out. Link in the description as always. Very excited about the future of Bullets Bourbon. Here's to the past 10 years of Bullets Bourbon being published. And here's to another 10, 20, 30, 40 more. Because I certainly have plans for Bullets Bourbon. This is not over anytime soon. As I was saying on Twitter the other day, I've got at least 7 full completed stories ready to go. So I'm not at a loss for storylines and so forth. I mean, like I said, I'm really excited about introducing characters that I've known that I'm going to put in the book for 20 years that nobody even dreams of yet. There's a lot of characters and storylines that are just waiting to unfold and take place in the Bullets Bourbon universe. But, I'm only one man, and it's pretty much a one-man effort. And it's kind of slow sometimes when you have to do it all by yourself. So, when you get like a 20, 24 page issue every 6 months, you got to stick with it. You got to stick with it because it's going to take time. All right. So thank you everyone for checking it out. We're going to move on now to our show proper, the Torch News Roundup. We'll talk about some of the things going on in the world of pop culture. If you haven't been with us for long, that's what we do here. We talk about Bullets Bourbon comics and we talk about pop culture. Again, apologies for this taking so long because this is really working slow for me today. I'm not sure why. All right, our first topic of the day, we're going to do an in memoriam segment here, of course. Nichelle Nichols just passed on recently. Famous, of course, for Lieutenant Uhura in the classic original series of Star Trek. She'd been ill for some time. I kind of expected, her passing, unfortunately, in the near future. And she passed on at the age of 89, so that's a pretty good run. Her son, Kyle Johnson, confirmed. Nichelle Nichols, best remembered for playing Nyota Uhura in the original Star Trek series. She'd been in ill health for many years, battling a conservationship. There you go. With former manager and caretaker Gilbert Bell, who many felt was taking advantage of the ailing actress in her final years. Yeah, that was a sad story. I remember hearing about that. she went on, of course, to portray Uhura all the way through to the final Star Trek movie of the original cast in 1992, I believe, which was the oh, of course, I'm gonna blank on the name of that one. That's one of my favorite ones too. The Undiscovered Country, and of course, groundbreaking actress. The famous story, of course, of Martin Luther King Jr. Asking her personally to stay on the show because she was tiring of just saying hailing frequencies open and sort of being a second tier character. But he convinced her to stay on. Of course, she was probably the first black actress to have that kind of notoriety of being a ongoing character in a futuristic show. She also did music and sang. I believe she did that on stage for many years. So again, very sad. Most of us grew up with her. I remember watching Star Trek, of course, from some of my earliest memories, and just a lovely woman by all accounts, both physically and, of course, what she offered to the fandom with some, real genuine appreciation of the fans and affection towards the fans. So, it's a very sad day. But unfortunately, this is life, and that's kind of what happens. Now, William Shatner, George Takei, and Walter Koenig are all that remain of the original cast of Star Trek. And, William Shatner, 90 years old himself, God bless him. Uh, he's somewhat overweight. It's I kind of imagine that he'll probably be next to go. That'll also be a sad day as well. But the other two actors, I believe, are somewhat younger. I think in their 70s. They, I don't know for sure, but I think they probably have some good years ahead of them still. But yeah, so rest in peace, Nichelle Nichols, and thank you for your considerable talents, adding to all of our lives who grew up with original Trek. We thank you. All right, so moving on, I also wanted to make mention of the passing of another actor from Star Trek. Not a member of the cast, but let's see. David Warner passed on a couple of weeks ago as well, and of course he's a famous face to many Star Trek fans, appearing not only in The Next Generation but also in Star Trek Six, the aforementioned Undiscovered Country, as Chancellor Gorkon. I always liked that character. He's like the only Klingon who seems to be, using his own humanity, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right word for a Klingon, but he doesn't want there to be tension and friction and fighting with the Federation. He seems to be the only Klingon that feels that way, right? I mean, every single Klingon we see in all the other films and in the original series, they all seem like they want war more than anything else. But that was one of his great claims to fame. Of course, he did multiple roles he was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as sort of the Baxter Stockman analog. Of course, the role of Ra's al Ghul on Batman the animated series was voiced by him. I think he was in a lot of things. Casper. He was in Gargoyles. I think he did a voice. Of course, Tron as Sark, the villain. Just a tremendous actor. He excelled at every role he did. I kind of wish he had more roles. I mean, back in the 90s, really, there was nowhere you could go where you wouldn't see him. There was like so many movies that he just lent his talent to, and he was great in every movie. He was even in Star Trek V, which of course is one of the lesser films. I don't hate it as much as other people do, but he appeared there. He gave his all there. Again, a great actor, and I kind of wish he would have got a more, you know, notable ongoing role. As he probably would have been a great, maybe Magneto. You know what I mean, or something like that. had the tide turned differently toward his career, he probably could have played a lot of different characters that, went to other actors that, really built them up in the pop culture sense. And he kind of didn't get that appreciation. At least I feel, but I think everybody loved him as a character actor, as they call them. So once again, thank you to David Warner, and as well for all the wonderful parts he did. And I think I will always hear his voice whenever I'm reading Ra's al Ghul, because he just had that characteristic, wonderful voice. So rest in peace, David Warner. And let's see, finally, not to be too somber here and to continue on with this for too long, but Pat Carroll also passed on recently. Pat Carroll, of course, of uh, the Little Mermaid fame. She played the voice of Ursula the Sea Witch. Also in the Garfield series, if you watch the Christmas special, the Thanksgiving special, and I don't know, possibly other episodes. I don't remember them all, but she was Grandma Arbuckle, and a very talented voice actress as well, appearing in a few different things. She was in A Pup Named Scooby Doo. Uh, she played. She was in the Rodgers and Hammerstein version of Cinderella as one of the stepsisters in one of her earliest roles. But again, yeah, she appeared in Laverne and Shirley. It says here, I'm trying to look at her credits: the Steve Allen Show, the Danny Kaye Show, the Carol Burnett Show. Yeah, and she just had a lot of credits to her name, and of course, she passed on at the age of 95. Uh, I think she had a pneumonia or something like that. I know we didn't mention David Warner passed on, I think, of cancer at the age of 80. So, but then once again, thank you to Pat Carroll for all her contributions to, especially the childhood of many, listening to Ursula and the Little Mermaid. So rest in peace, Pat Carroll. Now, let us go on to the show proper and try to talk about some stuff that's a little more pleasing. Where are my notes for this? Let me see. Okay, so the Andor series has been touted here by a new trailer. We got a new trailer for Andor, and they changed the release date. It was supposed to come out August 31st. Now it is going to be on September 21st. I think this is probably a good thing, because you have to remember that She-Hulk will probably be running into the show if it was still on August 31st. I don't know. What is it? Is that a 6-episode series? Well, this will give them plenty of opportunity to space out between, both shows. And they're upping the ante, because this is what, a 15-part series? I don't see it in my copy here. It's a 12-part series. Okay, so it's a 12-part series. That's going to last you well into, depending on how many episodes they show at a time. Now, they're going to show 3 episodes for opening day as the premiere. And looking at the trailer, it looks very good. I mean, it does feel in tone with Rogue One. We get Mon Mothma back, who I've always found as an interesting character, and seeing more about her, certainly interesting. We have Saw Gerrera back, a slightly younger Saw Gerrera, where he's not completely messed up. This makes me wonder if we're going to see Jyn Erso as a cameo. I don't know if maybe as a child, or maybe she doesn't seem to be too much younger than Cassian Andor. I mean, I don't know what age Cassian is when he's doing those kind of dealings, but yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, the usual suspects are already out tearing it apart, tearing it a new one. Oh, it's terrible. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And that's like what I felt about Obi-Wan. I feel like you have to give the show a chance. Now, I'm not saying you can't get preliminary feelings from trailers. All right, I understand. If a trailer looks bad, the trailer is there to sell you on the show. If it looks bad, then don't watch it. But I really didn't see anything in this show, honestly, good or bad. I mean, it just seems like it's more of Rogue One. If you liked Rogue One, check it out. If you didn't, you're probably not going to like this. Now, I liked Rogue One. I think most people did. So I'm probably going to check it out and not have a problem with it. But again, uh, Lucasfilm has a tendency of shooting themselves in the foot with these projects. Now, with Kenobi, they already knew that people were going to complain about Reva because Reva was a terrible character and not particularly played well by actress Moses Ingram. I always say I just watched the show again, as a matter of fact. I finally rewatched it in a binge. And again, she's not horrible. And in the last episode, she's actually playing, the redeemed Reva. My problem with her is mostly trying to buy her as a heavy. I don't think she's worked at all as a villain. But they instinctively knew that she wasn't going to. And so what do? They complained, oh, don't treat Moses as, racist. You don't want to be racist towards Moses. And everybody's like, why are you preliminarily bringing this out, and saying people are going to call her, be racist towards her and call her names or something. I don't get that. It was basically just trying to preliminary get in the first punch because they knew that people weren't going to like this character and she didn't particularly play her very well. So in the same way here, Lucasfilm again is not doing themselves any favors. They shoot themselves in the foot by starting off on the wrong foot by having somebody associated with the project saying that this is like a metaphor for Trumpism and how the right wing, the MAGA has taken over, and all this and all that. And again, it gives the clickbait YouTubers a chance to glom on and say, "Oh, this is terrible. These people hate you, and you don't want to watch this because." All right, yeah, it's a stupid thing. They're stupid people. They're evil people. I said that before in my Obi-Wan rant. But the thing is that you realize that they've been doing this in Star Wars from the beginning. I mean, George Lucas, when he started, the character of the Emperor was to him based on Richard Nixon. I, I I'm forgetting the name of the YouTuber, the woman that said this, but she said that George Lucas still has nightmares of the ghost of Richard Nixon under his bed. That's a great line because it's true. I mean, his whole conception of the original trilogy was all about how uh, Nixon was going to rise to power. He was going to stay in office for the rest of his life. And you see these kind of things. I think, didn't they do that in Watchmen too? Nixon is still in power in 1984 or something. And they just had this terrible fear of Nixon, which is why they tried to drive him out of office. That's another subject. But, Star Wars has always had that stigma of being leftist in its conception. In the same way with the prequel trilogy, you had, oh, this is a metaphor for George W. Bush. He's taking away freedoms and rights, and he's going to become a dictator now, and this and that. And it's like the same leftist playbook every single time there's some kind of totalitarian regime. They say it's based on conservatism and Republican beliefs and this and that. But when you watch these films, you really take away from it the opposite. You take away that, yeah, when you had that like ferret-faced creature in the Obi-Wan show, and he was like kissing up to the stormtroopers because he loved the feeling of we're being taken care of, we love the Empire. That basically is like the way that the brainless leftists, the mask fetishers, behaved for the past 2 years. Tell me what to do, oh Grand Master, and I will do it. And so it doesn't seem to me like they're looking at this the right way. I see these things. They look to me very left. And so when the famous "This is how liberty dies" to thunderous applause. For some reason, while they're trying to equate that with either George W. Bush or whoever at the time you wanted to equate it with, now they'll try to say Trump and whatever. What you're really doing is seeing how the freedoms are taken away from us from the left. The left is the ones that are trying to take away your Second Amendment. They're trying to take away your First Amendment. They're trying to take away all these things. And we still have Hollywood telling us, oh, all these totalitarian regimes, all these evil empires, all these dictators that are turning themselves into emperors. We've got that right there in what's happening to us right now with the person in the White House right now who doesn't belong there. And I don't know how I don't know how this video is going to not get blocked or banned either way, but we'll just leave that there. All right, so again, 12-part Andor series. Trailer looked very good to me. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it, although, like I said, I had hopes for Obi-Wan, and while Riva didn't ruin the show for me, it kept it from being like a class 1 masterpiece, an epic. And I'm guessing the same is going to be the truth here with Andor being politically preachy, I guess. But again, in the strictest sense, most of these shows they reflect back on their creators. It's not really like you have to see it the way they intended it. All right, so let me know in the comments below what you think about Andor. Another sad bit of news. It seems like we got kind of a sad affair today. That seems to be the flavor of the day. Well, let's get the sad news out of the way. This is going to be the final season. The upcoming season of The Flash has been confirmed to be the final season. The final season of Grant Gustin. The final season of the Arrowverse. Now, Grant Gustin's Flash was introduced in the second season of the Arrowverse. Again, what do you say? I mean, The Flash ending at 9 seasons. The first thing that disappointed me is I really wanted to see them go beyond 10 seasons just to knock Smallville out of that slot as being the longest running superhero show on the CW, because Smallville really was terrible. I watched pretty much like the last 3 or 4 seasons. First few seasons were so bad I couldn't even watch it. Then when they were throwing in gimmicks at the end, like Green Arrow, and we got like a mini Justice League with Bart and Aquaman or whatever, then I was like, that's how starved we were for content back like in the mid 2000s or whatever. But it wasn't very good, and I was kind of hoping at least the Flash, who they meant well, let's put it that way. I think of all the Arrowverse shows, I think the Flash will always be head and shoulders above the rest of them. Arrow was fine, but again, it started with the premise of we're kind of ashamed of our comics, where we came from, and so we're not gonna really do the mask. And then in the second season, we're gonna do the mask. In the first year, all right, we're gonna kill people willy nilly. Then after that, it's like, oh, well, he's not gonna kill people anymore, and we're gonna try to make him more like the comic. And then he would, in the next season, kill people again and act like, well, I had to do it. And then he'd go back to not killing, and that was kind of the problem with Arrow. It was up and down. They really didn't know who they wanted to appeal to. They wanted to appeal to sort of the bloodthirsty fans, the serious fans, that were fans of Daredevil or something on Netflix, and they try to impress them, and then they would back off and try to impress the comic book fans who were like, well, this is kind of straying from the reservation. Flash was consistent. Flash kind of felt like the Flash, and it just stood that way. All the other shows started declining in quality much sooner than the Flash. I think Supergirl was kind of, even in the first season, kind of heavy-handed, but they really crapped themselves from the second season on. I think maybe the last 2 seasons were probably watchable, if nothing else. But that was just, again, a waste opportunity. Black Lightning again, it had its moments. I thought they always closed the shows good, they closed the seasons good. They had some pretty good season closers. Uh Legends of Tomorrow again, it was a show that outlasted its time. It just turned into, like I said, like a lesbian fantasy. And that's why I really think it ended as it should have at the right time. Although I would have liked them to wrap it up and had like the dignity to wrap it up. Now that's kind of broaches the question here. Now, since this is going to be the end of the Arrowverse, and again, for those of you who don't know, now it's coming out that Superman and Lois are no longer in the Arrowverse. It was at least assumed, I guess, that they were for the first couple of seasons. And I don't know. I mean, this past season, the last episode, they sort of made it that Superman's the only hero on that planet. And I don't understand why. I don't think anybody really understands why they changed that. They still have a John Diggle on that Earth, but for some reason now it's a different John Diggle. Now he's like got a beard and he's got different hair, and I don't know. So for some reason, I guess they see that all their shows are over. I don't want to say canceled because in the case of the Flash, it wasn't canceled. Arrow wasn't canceled. Supergirl wasn't canceled. The only one was canceled really was Legends. Batwoman, they probably would have went on, but they seen the writing on the wall and they just ended it. So since there's no more Arrowverse proper, Superman and Lois thinks it's probably best to cut their losses and, not have to answer to, well, where's the Flash? Where's Kara? Can't we get, help from somebody when we need them? I always think that's a cheap excuse. I don't really like that excuse because if you're reading the comics, whenever Superman had a big problem, he didn't always run to somebody else. You're supposed to be able to handle these things. When it's a huge crossover event, that's when like the entire world is at stake and this and that. And I realized they did that sort of with Superman and Lois this past season with the Bizarro world and everything. But again, you have to trust the viewer to be, reasonable that it's not going to be the case where every hero that ever existed is going to join Superman on a mission or a battle that he himself is going to face in his own show. You have to be reasonable to that effect. All right, so let's take a look at the copy here. Let's see. The 9th season will be the last for The Flash. Speculation that the next batch of episodes would see Grant Gustin bid farewell to the Scarlet Speedster began earlier this year when he signed a one-year deal that capped his season 9 involvement at no more than 15 episodes. He'll be back for a total of 13 in a truncated final season that will also star Candice Patton and Danielle Panabaker. They're still series regulars from the beginning. Jesse L. Martin, meanwhile, will return for season 5 Jesse L. Martin will return for 5 if NBC decides against moving forward with the show The Irrational. He'll likely return for more. Season 9 of The Flash begins shooting next month for a mid-season debut of 2023. That means the final is going to air weeks before the Flash movie arrives in theaters next June. However, the trade notes that the series ending is expected to wrap its own storyline and not set up the movie in any way. Showrunner Eric Wallace said in a statement, 9 seasons, 9 years of saving Central City while taking audiences on an emotional journey full of heart, humor, and spectacle. Now Barry Allen has reached the starting gate for his last race. So many amazing people have given their talent, time, and love to bring this wonderful show to life each week. So as we get ready to honor the show's incredible legacy with our exciting final chapter, I want to say thank you to our phenomenal cast, writers, producers, and crew over the years who helped make The Flash such an unforgettable experience for audiences around the world. We don't know what to expect from this final season of The Flash, but something tells us the CW will likely go all out and give the fastest man alive the send-off he deserves. With the end of the show, the Arrowverse as we knew it is pretty much dead. Arrow wrapped up a couple of years ago. The cancellation of Batwoman and Legends has left The Flash as the last series standing. Superman and Lois is set in its own continuity now. And, of course, Stargirl is also on a separate world in its own continuity. So again, thank you to Grant Gustin for, again, I like his Flash. I think he's a great actor, and I really wish he would be in the movie. I wish he would be the movie Flash. Maybe there's a chance. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But yeah, the Arrowverse was an experiment. 10 years it lasted, I guess we can say, if you want to count the first year of Arrow to the last year of the Flash. That's our Arrowverse. I personally think the Superman and Lois is kind of connected to that Arrowverse, even if it's not necessarily set on the same Earth. It's in the same continuity, so I would still consider that. Possibly also Stargirl is considered that because it's also on a different Earth. But again, sad times because I was hoping for more with the Arrowverse. It felt like an experiment that sort of got unwieldy at a certain point, and they never could tap it down again to giving us the greatness that we deserved from these shows, from these characters. I think the last couple of years of The Flash haven't been too bad. I think, again, at a certain point, it wasn't that great, but they kind of brought it back the last couple of seasons, but it was so formulaic. It felt like the same thing over and over again with, you know, Iris is in trouble. She's off somewhere else. Barry has to help her and save her, but he's not really, he's got other things to do. And, he's doesn't really want to be seen as making her a damsel in distress. And so we kind of have to have her figuring things out on her own. Again, this happened like 2 or 3 seasons in a row. At least it feels that way. I know the last 2 seasons at least, but it could be at least 3 this has been going on. After they gave up on Tom Cavanaugh being a different Wells every year, that's when things kind of got a little stale, to be honest. But again, Grant Gustin was always there for us. I think he was a great Flash, and thank you once again to Grant Gustin for portraying the Flash, giving us some decent memories of the Scarlet Speedster. Of course, my favorite Flash show is still always going to be the John Wesley Ship one. That's just, it's untouchable. It's unassailable. All right, so talking about the Flash, let's move on to this next story. Apparently, this was supposed to be a big secret, a big hush-hush type thing, but Ben Affleck is going to be in Aquaman 2. Boy, my first reaction was, they'll do anything to get people to see this movie and forget that Amber Heard is in it. Now, we don't know how much she's going to be in it. Probably they're going to cut her scenes down to a lot less than originally intended. But this really wasn't foreseen. Affleck is a strange character. Let's be honest. He acts like they're pulling, his teeth. They act like they're yanking his arm to try to get him into these movies. And then when you think he's done, he comes back. All right, he's going to be done. They're not going to use him again after Justice League. All right, he'll come back and do Justice League for Zack Snyder and finish up that Justice League movie by, I guess, doing a couple of stand-in shots and making sure it flows for him. Then he's not going to do any more. Then, okay, he's going to be in the Flash because we're probably going to hand it off to somebody else, and he's not going to be the Batman in our continuity anymore, and he's going to do that and be done with it. All right. Now he's in Aquaman 2. And it makes you wonder, how many times are they going to play this game? I didn't hate Affleck as Batman, but at the same time, 2 things. One, it's too closely tied to Zack Snyder's universe. I think at some point, they're going to have to cut ties with him. I think we talked about Henry Cavill's Superman last week. And it's the same thing here. It's like Fisher cut bait. You know what I mean? You kind of have to. They're hanging on to him because they don't have any other options. The only other option is Michael Keaton as a 70-year-old Batman, which I want to see, by the way, and we'll get to that in a second. But I don't think that he needs to be the continuity Batman. I think we need a continuity Batman. Now, apparently, we're not going to get Robert Pattinson as the continuity Batman because we still got the stank of the Snyderverse that is, we still got Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. We still got Jason Momoa's Aquaman. And we still kind of have Ezra Miller's Flash. We'll talk about that in a second. Ben Affleck is still hanging around, which leads me to believe they're not done with Superman yet. They're not done with Henry Cavill. The ball's in his court. So the second problem, though, with keeping Ben Affleck around, while you've got Robert Pattinson because he's the younger version, and the problem with that is it's not in continuity; it's another universe, and we can't tell Matt Reeves what to do because we don't want, you know, he's going to be another. He is basically he's like a less talented Nolan. He wants his own universe. He doesn't want it to be with Supermen flying around and Green Lanterns buzzing about. That's where the problem we have now. Because if Zack Snyder was actually talented, if he could pull the whole universe together, we would have had it by now. We would have had a great connected universe. But because his vision of these characters are so afield, we're stuck now with trying to use the pieces that he left and redefine them and redevelop them instead of just starting over from scratch. But the problem is when they do have things that start over from scratch, like the Batman, they're terrible because they're just going back to the same auteur version like Nolan did. And it's not faithful to the comics, and it's just a big mess. All right, so this is what happened. In a surprising twist, The Flash won't be the only upcoming DC adventure in which Affleck's version of the Dark Knight will make his presence. As it turns out, he's expected to return for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Jason Momoa took to Instagram to drop the surprise, sharing a picture of himself alongside Affleck in costume as Bruce Wayne. This, coupled with a video of the actor's involvement in the film being uncovered by the Warner Brothers studio tour visitors. Momoa wrote in the caption, "Reunited, Bruce and Arthur. Love you and miss you, Ben. WB Studio Tours just explored the back lot all right. Busted on set, all great things coming. Aquaman 2, all my aloha J." Um, so I don't have the video, of course, here, but if you've seen the video, he's basically in the back lot while the tour, you know, tram or whatever that is going by, and then he's waving to the fans, and that's fine. But apparently they catch sight of um, Affleck's name on the door or something. I don't know. And so he kind of like lets the cat out of the bag. Now, again, this is something you would think they would have tried to hype up, but they're saving it apparently for the right reveal. And I don't know exactly what they're thinking. But no more details were provided about the part, although Affleck's appearance in Aquaman 2 doesn't necessarily mean he'll continue to play Bruce Wayne. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is scheduled for release March 2023. All right, so what do you think about this? Is this going to be a Batman appearance? Is this going to be just a simple Bruce Wayne appearance? Is he going to be continuing on as sort of the de facto Batman to appear once in a while, even though he doesn't have his own movie? I mean, it seems to me like they want to make him the Incredible Hulk of these films. You know what I mean? He shows up, he does something. They never give him the spotlight, but he was in Suicide Squad, and he's gonna be in Aquaman 2. He's gonna be in The Flash. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If this signals a future for Ben Affleck in the DCEU. Our final story of the evening, and this is a story that brings a smile to my face. Gingercide has now been foiled for the first time. The Batgirl film has been shelved. Woo-hoo! All right, so for those of you who don't know, came out about a year ago. They fast-tracked this movie. They knew it was going to be a crap movie. They already said it wasn't going to be for theaters. It wasn't for theater release. It was going to be for HBO Max. But they dumped a crap load of cash into it because they wanted to get Michael Keaton in it for some street cred. They wanted some relevancy since they already had him in The Flash. He completed that first, and they wanted to sort of pump this film up, so they got Keaton. From what I heard, I read some of the behind the scenes reports. He had 5 scenes, apparently sharing 2 with Batgirl. It didn't sound like we're missing out on anything. But they cast this actress, let me see, what's the name of the actress? Leslie Grace, I believe. I believe that's her name. I I don't see it here in my copy for some reason. But, and of course, she is Latino. And that is the new thing now with SJW comic book projects in live action. We have to cast someone that's a POC that looks nothing like the character, and then we put them in the costume, we change their hair color, and we pretend like we've been faithful to the comics. Now, also apparently, J.K. Simmons, yeah, Leslie Grace, here's on the copy. J.K. Simmons was going to play Commissioner Gordon, so you've got sort of like a tough Irish cop playing the father of this Latino woman. Made no sense whatsoever. And the 12 Twitter weirdos, or whoever you want to call them, that the SJWs listen to for sort of moral rearmament, was like, hey, hell yeah, we won. Doesn't look like it now, but we won. We got diversity. We were checking those boxes. And so they do all this crap, and they do it all just to rub it in the face of people who want fidelity to the comic book, to the source material. Now, you ever notice, you know this as much as I do, whenever they're doing casting, people on Twitter, people anywhere, who do you want to play a character? Who do you want to play Batgirl? What names come up? Typically, four redheads. Four redheads, or maybe a blonde who's been seen as a redhead, and they know that she looks good as a redhead, and they'll throw her name in as well. That's what people do, because the automatic assumption is it's going to be someone that looks like the comics. It's not going to be someone with a different skin tone or hair color, or in some cases even eye color ruins it. It's going to be someone that looks like the character. No, you're not allowed that anymore. You're not allowed to have your characters represented in live action by someone who looks like them on the page. And that's the thing that is so frustrating, is that we got people in charge doing this. Now, not anymore. This film is done. It's been scrapped. It's never going to see the light of day. It's been shelved. And they say it's been shelved because it was a disaster. It was irredeemable, quote unquote. And that's the whole point. We don't want to ruin this. We don't want to ruin this character. They know that they want to use Batgirl someday in a high profile project. Maybe it might not even be Batgirl the movie. Maybe it might be in an upcoming, if they should ever get a Batman series off the ground, a Batman franchise that'll use Robin, Batgirl, what have you. They'll want a actual, honest to goodness, looking like the character in the comics, Batgirl. So again, this is a saving grace. This is saved, no pun intended. It's probably saved her career too, Leslie Grace, because now she's not going to be tied to the memory of a bad Batgirl movie. And she could, honestly, they should find something else for her to do, because this has nothing to do with her. If I were her, I wouldn't have taken the role. But, you can't really fault her for wanting to do a high-profile movie. Give her, like, White Tiger or something. That's MCU. I know that's different. But, I mean, she could do something else. This is not something. Now, like I said, now what do people want? They want a redhead Batgirl. They want an actual white actress. This is part of, I feel, a sea change where, and again, this is not going to change overnight. This is, don't misunderstand, but I think this goes a long way to ending the gingercide. I think they know that this just looks ridiculous. It's not satisfying any fans, and you're going to have the 12 Twitter weirdos celebrating it. It's not going to make them a dime of money. It's not. And, I'd love to see Michael Keaton in the scenes that he shot. Maybe that'll be a rarity that shows up someday. And a lot of people now crying crocodile tears on Twitter. Ooh, we're not going to see this movie. Trust me, I think there's a reason we're not going to see this movie, because it's horrible. Somebody will upload it to YouTube or something someday, probably 5 years from now, and you'll realize you've lost nothing. Now, what does this hold for the Flash movie? Now, this has got a tag of upwards of 100 million. and they shelved it. Now, the Flash movie with Ezra Miller, I believe, has double that budget. I think it has a 200 million price tag on it. Are they going to scrap that too? I'm saying yes. If this is any indication, they're probably going to scrap the Ezra Miller Flash movie. And that's what bothers me is I'm afraid we're not going to see Michael Keaton in costume after this. This might be his last chance to play Batman, because if they keep canceling all the movies that he's in because they're so bad, we keep getting him playing Batman and never being allowed to see it. That's the only reason why I wanted to see this film, and the only reason why I want to see Ezra Miller's Flash, because that's the draw. I want to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. Maybe he'll get another chance. It's cut and dried for him. Make Batman Beyond. That probably is what you can do. You don't have to make it exactly like the comics. You don't have to make it set in, you know, the high, far future where there's nobody around but, Mr. Freeze's head in a jar or something, Just make it that he's still Batman. And then he sort of gives the another sidekick a chance. And you can make that quite anyone, honestly. But yeah, so that's the biggest problem, is not getting to see Michael Keaton's Batman. I hope they still have a movie or a project that they'll put him in as Batman, because obviously he can still do it. He still wants to do it. But again, R.I.P. Batgirl, the tokenized Batgirl. We hardly knew ye. And what do you think about this? Of course, this is also the end of Brandon Fraser's Firefly. I don't know how that was going to look, but again, you've got sort of overweight Brandon Fraser playing Firefly, who was supposed to fly and be kind of svelte. I don't know how that was going to look. I always put up that image that is quite comical to look at. So we'll end it on this note. This is the way that the three people who were excited about the Batgirl movie look right now. How's that Batgirl movie coming along, huh? Oh man. That is something. I think we're gonna miss out on a whole lot with this film. I don't know. But yeah. That I'm just happy that I heard this news, and that life will go on with hopefully a Batgirl that actually looks like the source material. The next thing I want to see go down is allegedly the tokenized Black Canary movie that's supposed to be coming out. That it's gonna bring back Junie Smollett, whatever, to the role of the Black Canary, because by popular demand of no one, because nobody liked Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous Birds of Prey or whatever that was. The only thing that was good in that film was Harley Quinn. I don't know. I mean, it's sad because there's so many Harley Quinn projects now that are not good. I mean, I thought Suicide Squad, the original one, was pretty good, and I still haven't seen the new one. I don't think I'm going to the James Gunn version. I don't know, but again, it's a character that's fun that they just don't seem to know what to do with. Like, for instance, maybe doing a movie with her and the Joker, that would make sense. Maybe doing a film with her that has to do with Batman. But again, we don't have a Batman. Nobody liked the Jared Leto Joker, so he's not being asked back. And they're gonna stick her with Poison Ivy and do another lesbian love affair movie like they're doing with the cartoon show or whatever. All right, so again, remember, we're not laughing with you, Batgirl, the movie. We're laughing at you. And that's the name of that tune. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I also have, let's see, a Twitter page. I was trying to look at it, but I think apparently I couldn't do it. Where the the poll question of the week, which is probably down to like about 2 hours now. So if you see this, you might be able to vote still. I don't know. But the poll question of the week was, what show are you most looking forward to in the coming weeks? Cassian Andor series, She-Hulk series. We didn't even talk about She-Hulk. I'm depressed just seeing the trailers for that. Um, the Stargirl season 3, which is coming out to a little fanfare. I hope that's not the last season because it's pretty much all we've got lately to go on. And the Cobra Kai season 5, which we're only a little over a month away, and I can't wait to see this show. I can't wait to see season 5. So my vote. But Andor the series is it's got a comfortable lead, so apparently that's the way it's going to wrap up. So thank you for joining me once again for all the fun, all the hilarity, and some of the somber stories we looked at this week. Thank you for being here. We'll try to do another show. I usually try to do them on the weekend, but I did the trailer, the Bullets Bourbon trailer over the weekend, so I didn't have, it's like one or the other. I'm going to do some kind of video project. I try to go towards putting some video project out. Again, I still got that Morbius review I wanted to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that anytime soon. But I scripted a review. I think I might just talk about it. That might be the only way I can get this done because I don't really feel like I've I don't think I got the energy to put together a scripted review for Morbius. I don't know if it really merits that. I liked it though, so that's the reason why I was going to kind of try to script it. We've got the book, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon, Private Eye, number 10 coming out soon. It'll probably be out. We're on pace to have this puppy out by the fall, which is probably, it's tough because on the one hand, I want to get this book out by the end of the month, but by the time, my file man and editor put it together, it might be a little later. And then, of course, in September, it would normally be out if I could trust the printer to get it out within a couple of weeks, but it's probably going to be at least a month. So I can't give you a definite date on it, but I'm going to say that it definitely should be out by the fall. And like I said, we put out a book pretty much every 6 months. So, we have sort of a winter spring book and we have a summer fall book. And this is sort of our summer fall book. And we already had one come out in March, I believe it was. So again, this is exciting. Really hope you guys check out these books. Really looking forward to bringing the Bullets Bourbon saga alive and continuing on with it. And really hoping to, like I said, we have so many books in the can just waiting to be rolled out. I'm looking forward to when all those books are rolled out and I can start writing other books and drawing other books, because I'm really putting a pause on these to just stop and color and ink them. But eventually the time will come when all the books in the saga that have already been prepared will be done. We have like 13 issues per season. Now, this is the last storyline of this season. So we've got like we're going to do like 10, 11, and 12. So 13 will probably be the beginning of the next season. And then we do like probably about 12 there. And then we do another season. So I've got a full season already done practically, because this book will close out the first season. And then we got the second season already all planned out. So the books we're working on now is starting the third season. So I got to hope that it's going to work out. And, hopefully I can have the easy continuity that I'm having here of just continuing to roll one out. Because once I get through with the second season, I got to get back to work. And I don't know if I'll be able to do 2 books a year anymore. But at that point, I'll be doing it for 20 years. And if we don't have any traction of buyers and stuff then, and I can't hire other people to try to help me get my books along faster, I don't know what to say. But we're making strides. We got a lot of people following us on Twitter now. Like I said, the YouTube numbers have jumped up a little bit. They kind of stalled now that we got to 300. But be sure you like, share, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Share the videos. Make sure that everyone knows that you're supporting the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, and make sure you hit that like button and ding the bell if you haven't already. And so, until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.